Awesome. Okay, listen, everybody, thank you so much for joining me. I'm in Sutton, of course, for morning. Stop. Oh my God. Let me try this again. All right. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me for morning coffee. It's nice to see Jackie back. Jackie, welcome back.
Thank you. Happy to be back.
And I just want to mention that morning coffee, of course, is sponsored by Dazan Social Media. If there's anybody here who does not know Dazan Social Media, I definitely want Jonathan to kind of give us a little bit of a rundown, real quick.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Ivan. So last week I told you about my social media. You know about that. You know each other long enough to you know a lot about me. But I want to run by my SEO services, which you might not know as much about. But if you don't know what SEO is, it's super long, and Ivan said keep it short, so I'm not going to get into it. But it's essentially getting you on a page one on Google. So what we offer, which is a little bit different, is we only charge you half price until we get you on a page one of Google. So a lot of SEO agencies, because it could take 6 to 12 months. Mm-hmm. A lot of SEO agencies are just milking in the money from day one. We don't. I pretty much break even between me and you. I pretty much break even until you're on page one. So that's something we do offer. People love because well, it shows that we want to get you there, right? I want my full payment, so we're going to get you to page one as soon as possible. So, if you know anybody, or if you yourself want to get on page one of Google, you should, because page two is no man's land. Let me know; I'll get you there.
Yep, and everybody who knows Jonathan, you know that he's very dedicated. Very, very dedicated. All right. So there you go. Okay. So today we're talking about our entrepreneurs crazy. So before we do that, we'll just chat about some of the things that are coming up. Right afterwards, of course, we have Lisa Bishai with the discussion lounge. And then tomorrow, which is Tuesday, we have a city leader call. This is the city leader call for the month, folks. So all city leaders, please be there, 9:30 until 10:30. Then Wednesday, 9:30 to 10:30 in Hamilton, we have another morning mixer down there at Williams Cafe. Everything will be fresh. All right. Everything. It's Wednesday morning, right?
Emerald Coffee.
What did I say?
Williams.
Oh no, not Williams.
We're on Barton Street, folks. We're not down by
Emerald.
the bay.
Thank you, Catherine. All these people would have gone down to Williams and thought, "Oh, this is great." No, we're going down to Emerald Cafe. All right. Okay. Then on Thursday, Catherine Davies has Tech Talk. What's happening, Catherine?
Oh, there we go, mute. Thursday we're going to be talking about, we started about hydrogen and the next generation, if you will, of power. And they've come up with some really great stuff in the big trucks, because that was one of the big problems that we saw for transportation. So yeah, we're going to explore hydrogen trucks. I feel like a little bit of Marvel coming on, but you know.
Yeah, of course. That's awesome. I'm actually quite shocked, Catherine, that there are actually hydrogen vehicles that are available out there right now. So that's pretty cool. Okay. And then the last thing for the week, on Thursday at 12:30, we have the Women's Business Club meeting. So folks that are involved in the Women's Business Club, or you'd like to be involved in the Women's Business Club, please jump on to that. All right. Then let's see. Okay. So our entrepreneurs crazy. So think about this, all right? The reason why people think that entrepreneurs are a little bit crazy is that most entrepreneurs have decided not to take the safe path. Okay? You know, it's not the safest path in the world. If you want a safe path, you go get a job, right? Second, you have the audacity to pursue your own passions, right? You have a dream to do something, and even if your passion is not being answerable to anybody else, it's really super cool that you're able to pursue that. You believe that you can make a name for yourself. If you have your microphone unmuted, if you can just mute it, because I'm getting some background sounds there. So you believe that you can make a name for yourself. If you have your microphone unmuted, if you can just mute it, because I'm getting some background sounds there. So you so you Yeah, you believe that you can make a name for yourself or create a memorable brand. And from nothing, you can create something that a stranger will want. I mean, when you think about that, what would make people want your stuff? You believe that you can earn enough to survive on more than on more just by your ideas. You believe that you can know enough about legalities, accounting, taxes, marketing, sales, strategic decision making, forecasting, managing employees to make it work, at least for the first while until you earn enough money to hire people. And you believe that you can embrace the unpredictable and succeed in spite of it. Anybody's thoughts on that? When you first started your business, how much of that did you consider?
Hardly any of it.
Really?
I didn't even know half of it existed, to be honest with you, until I hit a roadblock and I went, oh, do I have to consider that?
Well, I think last week Dave and Lisa were saying, oh no, it's La Vida Loca, man. This is great. What was it? Did you any of that stuff kind of jump out at you? No? Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't want to cut Peter off there, but yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a very skeptical person. I am a little bit anal as well. So like I research everything till it hurts. With that being said, I really second guessed what I was getting into. I had no idea. I didn't even know how to ship a package, let alone be everyone's shipping consultant. And I'm a pro. Yeah, I am an expert. But for the things that I don't know, there are people that can help us out with, like the Carols, who I don't have to know accounting because she does, and everybody else. So sorry, Peter, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead, Peter. And thank you, Lisa.
With me, it was more a mix of opportunity and the fact that I had been looking for a regular job and wasn't having a lot of success with it. So it didn't seem that risky. The regular route wasn't really working that well anyways. Plus, to answer your question more generally, there's one type of entrepreneur that is kind of crazy, thinks if they just build it, they will come. But especially these days, I find that, especially for a lot of older people, they're opting for self-employment because they were part of a dying industry and their existing skill sets aren't really valued, or they're facing discrimination because of their age and they think they'll have a better chance just doing it by themselves. So I think there's basically two types of entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah, great point. Great point. Absolutely. Go ahead, Chris.
There's also a lot of older people who have retired from careers and now are going to the point where they wanted to do something all their lives. They figured, hey, I'm not getting any younger. Why not try it now?
Right.
And I've run into a lot of those. But certainly my story. Yeah.
It's still a risk though, right? I mean, when you think about it.
Oh yeah.
For the most part, it's still quite a risk.
But the difference is we come into it with a slightly different mindset.
Right.
Than a 20-year-old who's not run into things. We've probably had more problems than they couldn't even imagine. So
right. Absolutely. Yeah. And we when you get to a certain age, you know that it ain't all rosy, right? I mean, some things are very, very difficult. Go ahead, Adam.
I missed a bit of the intro to this because my computer was chopping out at me there. But one thing I wanted to say is that I think that, to be an entrepreneur, we have to be ready to go into a place of uncertainty where there's a lot more perceived risk. And the truth of the matter is, if we look at the, as broken down by Tony Robbins, the 6 highest human needs, for about 80% of people, their highest human need is certainty. So for 80% of the population, being an entrepreneur would be a risk that they would not be willing to take.
Right. Okay. So I'm so glad that you said that, because that brings us to the next major thing, and that is risk and failure. Right. Not everything that you do as a business succeeds. Right. I mean, usually the path of a business is not a nice steady slope upward. forever, right? Jackie, I see you shaking your head there. Why don't you go ahead and comment on that before I jump into it?
Well, I would say that that's probably the biggest learning curve that any entrepreneur will learn is how to ride the waves and recognize where they're at in the process, right? Because often every time we attempt to do something new, that's when the fear hits in, and either we're going to pull back or we're going to ride that wave over. And looking at also who do you have around you that's going to push you to ride that wave.
Right.
But when I think back to my business and where I started, like we went like this, like, you know, and I think if you don't have those days where you're like, what am I doing? I think I'm crazy. Then you might not be doing something right, because that's all part of it.
You know, such a great point. How many of us have a difficult time handling criticism? Criticism. Come on. Everybody loves criticism. Really?
Only when it's invalid.
Well, what makes it invalid?
Yeah. It's gross.
For me, I can handle it coming from a legitimate source.
Okay.
Like if you don't know what you're not in my field, you don't know what you're talking about, shut up.
Yes.
If you are in my field, like if you came to me and said, hey, listen, John, man, that your website needs this and this, I'd be like, you know what? You know what you're talking about. No offense. You know, Lisa called me and said, John, your website's lacking, you know, this. I mean, Lisa, look at your website. You know what I mean? So as long as
Lisa, can you just try that? I just love to see what happens.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I'm just going to add in real quick. It's did you ask for it? Right? Like, were you seeking out that feedback? And like John said, from somebody that you respect and know that has your best interest at heart, or is it just the naysayers on the outside looking in who want to have an opinion?
Okay. All right. We'll come back to that because I'm just going to make some notes on that. Go ahead, Frida.
So at first it was very difficult to accept criticism because of course it wasn't opinions I asked for. It was just like, you're crazy and whatever. So, but now the criticism is more of a constructive criticism, and I've learned how to accept that and then grow from it. So criticism is never really bad. Just take it with a grain of salt. When people don't know what they're talking about, then you take it with a grain of salt and ignore them. And other times, you know, it's like, hey, maybe you got a point, you know?
So let me ask you this, because people say, you know, did I ask for it or didn't I ask for it? And how many times do we ask for criticism? I mean, and legitimately mean it. We want criticism. So the first thing is usually criticism comes because somebody else feels that there's something wrong, right? Not because we feel that there's something wrong. We just want to vet our position on things, right? To ask people. So if somebody comes to you with a criticism, you know, you have to be able to, as an entrepreneur, you have to figure out how and why you are. Whatever your response is, you've got to figure out why it is that you're getting that response in the first place, right? You know, because there's a little bit of emotional intelligence that goes along with that. I'm sure that Jackie will jump in on that in a minute, but I want to hear from Carol. Go ahead.
Well, I think as well, it depends on how the criticism is delivered. If it's just a laundry list of things that the person says you're doing wrong or they don't like, that's not criticism. You need to be able to learn from criticism.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's, hey, you know, I think if you did it this way, it might work better for you, is a lot easier to handle than, hey, I don't like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Well, why? Well, I just don't like it. It's the way it's provided to you.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead, Chris.
I'm just going to say that one of the ways that you can kind of deal with that is to have mentors and workout partners, because sometimes you do something and it seems wonderful, and then your workout partner will come out and go like, what were you thinking of when you did that? And you go, oh yeah, maybe I want to reconsider that. But just to Jonathan's point, I remember years ago I took a class in economics from a 27-year-old PhD who had never been outside in the real world. and was trying to explain the buying principles that a housewife uses when she picks laundry detergent. And I'm going, this man has never been in a grocery store, never mind,
Yeah.
So criticism
married.
from that source, you go, yeah, right, really. So
Interesting. How many people here have a workup, a mentor, or somebody that they pitch with regularly? Okay. All right. Okay. Go ahead, Lisa.
I was just going to touch on what, John and Carol and I think Jackie put in the chat, that feedback and your opinion is different than criticism. Everyone's wanting to give an opinion about something. Well, okay, that's great, but we don't, just because we have one doesn't mean we should give it. And to John's point, I can sit, John, and tell you that your website sucks. But again, yes, everyone knows my website is the worst, but regardless, it's still my opinion. I know nothing about what you do. And unless you want my opinion or feedback, I shouldn't give it to you because you're right. I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to websites. As far as it's aesthetically pleasing or not user friendly, I can give you my opinion if it's warranted or wanted, not just I have an opinion and I should give it to you because just my opinion.
Now, what if you're doing business with people? You've got people that are friends, people that are mentors, people that are employees, but then you have a random customer that gives you criticism.
Criticism or their opinion?
Well, criticism and their opinion. I mean, their opinion is critical, right? So, how are you dealing with that? And I want to also bring this back to the fact that, we know this going in, right? When we start a business, we know that there's going to be times where things are going to be tough. And we know that we're going to face criticism. But, but when we work for Coca-Cola, the criticism comes from one place, our boss, right? We might get, employees around us that are equal to us or below us that are criticizing us. But when we're running a business, we're getting criticism potentially and praise potentially from everywhere, right? And it takes a certain internal fortitude, to handle it. And did we think about that? Did we think about that before we jumped in, or did we just woohoo and jumped in? Anyway, go ahead, Maggie.
There we go. Hard to see that little thing outside. Anyway, now as far as criticism go, if it's constructive, it can be good. Like in my own profession as a writer, now if I'm, I'll write something and then submit it. I'll have an assignment, I'll write it, I'll submit it. Well, then then I read it and I can tell the editor made edits. And I mean, I know that's part of the job kind of thing. It's just part of the business. Editors do that, but sometimes it bugs me, I have to admit. But there's also other times too. If you get together with people in your own industry, you can bounce ideas. I haven't been involved in a writers group for a while now, quite a while, but I know with writers groups, you can read each other's and give feedback, and that's okay. And sometimes that can help improve what you're doing. It's all in the way you're doing it. I mean, I've worked in retail and sometimes you get these total bitches,
Beep.
Then, okay, sorry about that. But yeah, no, or these really difficult customers, they're constantly criticizing and, it's like, okay, whatever. Sometimes you have to let it roll off. If it's valid, take it. But if it's not, just let it roll off.
Absolutely. Okay. That's fair enough. Okay. How about you, Adam?
Well, speaking to what we're talking about immediately right now in terms of criticism, I think, it takes practice sometimes to get to the place where we can not take things personally. And that's one really important part here. But the other thing is knowing what our customer needs at that time. If a customer is criticizing us or criticizing something to do with their business, then that customer wants to be heard and they want to know that it's being dealt with. If you choose to take the information that they're giving you on and look at it objectively, which is always a good idea anyway, that's great. A lot of the time, it's just a little bit of feedback that you may or may not use because it's an opinion. But going back to what we're talking about previous in terms of criticism, I'd say I deal with criticism all the time, but it's not criticism that I'm receiving. It's with working with clients that criticize themselves, and that's related to how they're looking at failure and dealing with failure. If we look at say Carol Dweck? Jackie, you know who I'm talking about. I think it's Carol Dweck. She breaks mindset into growth mindset and fixed mindset. And most people are a combination of both of these things. But if you're starting a business or starting any new venture and you want to be going smoothly this way, it takes a bit of time to get that, because in the beginning, when you set an objective, if you don't know how to set them realistically, you're going to set yourself up for failure, right? If you make a plan and you don't do exactly what you planned, and you're looking at things a week later and it's like, okay, didn't manage to do exactly what I thought. But the truth of the matter is, in this particular case, that you were in control of not getting that thing done, and you don't identify that, then you're setting yourself up for failure again. So there's a lot of ways we can set ourselves up for failure. But if we have the right objectives and we have the right types of expectations, then when we don't exactly get to that goal that we set out for ourselves, we can look back and learn from it and grow forward from it and realize that, that's just the way it is. And all we can do is be our best and move forward. So that's the failure part and the other part that we're talking about.
Wonderful. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Catherine, and then I'm going to read something about Musk here.
Musk.
Yeah, I just think you have to be a little crazy to expose yourself to all this stuff, right? Like, if you're going to grow, I attended a 7-8 course with Jackie, and it was like, I don't know about this, but she says I could use it. So what the hell, And it was really mind expanding, right? Am I going to use 90% of it as a professional? Probably not, but it did. It got my brain going. And so I just wanted to say, if I see one of your websites that are down, you're going to hear from me. I'm going to let you know. I'm not going to let you know, not tell you that your website's not loading properly, or, so I hope you can handle that, because I wouldn't want somebody not to tell me.
Exactly.
Right. But yeah, anything like Ivan and I are typically in the office together. And so he'll run stuff by me. And other than a date being wrong or a time like that I might question, they're all great, because they really are. But like, I don't have anything, but I'm the first one to say, can you make that more user friendly? Like, I want to push on a picture and it pop up the link, So those kind of things, I think we're actually, as customers, we're a great benefit. We're free feedback, right? If you listen to it. But also be aware, if you're getting a lot of negative, there might be something there too, right?
Absolutely.
To have a customer, you can't please everybody. I have a class of 15 people. I'm going to have somebody that just wasn't real thrilled with what I said or how I did something. And, and I'll look at it and go, yeah, no, I wouldn't change anything. But if I have 10 of them that say that, there's got to be an issue. So sometimes, again, it's not necessarily comfortable information, but it is valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. So go ahead, Jackie.
I want to pop in there. And Catherine, you now have a set of questions that you can use. And this is the key, is to be able to, a customer comes to you with an issue. More times than not, the issue really isn't whatever it is that they're talking about. There's something underneath that has been triggered for them. And so if we can get past just basing everything on the surface of what they're saying and actually engage in a conversation to find out what really is the issue or the thing that's bugging you, then I have feedback and I can then decide, is this something I can move forward and help you with? Or is it someone I can refer you out to, because you obviously got bigger issues than what is in my realm of business?
Okay, so listen, I want to talk about a little bit of failure with a high-profile person, of course, Elon Musk. Everybody knows that SpaceX has failed in a stellar and very public way since it started, right? SpaceX had 5 complete failures, right? 4 partial failures, and one partial success, for a total of 10 failed launches. Now, since then, they've had 157 launches. That's given them, like, a success rate of 93.6%, right? SpaceX rockets are the most reliable on the planet right now. I mean, people are just shocked at how often they'll launch 3-4 times a week. Has anybody ever watched how SpaceX rockets actually come back to Earth and land? It is absolutely phenomenal to watch that these boosters go into space, and then they're jettisoned, and then they just come back to Earth and land, and then they're used 3-4 days later for another. It's amazing. Okay, so that's what failure has done. But here's a story that I think is really cute. Elon Musk is a great admirer of James Bond films, and just bought a Lotus Esprit submarine car from the movie The Spy Who Loved Me. Who doesn't love that movie, right? The automobile transformed into a submarine in the film, and Musk decided he would have one. So he purchased the car at an auction in London for $997,000. And he stated, "I was disappointed to learn that a car can't actually transform." But what I'm going to do is I'm going to upgrade it with a Tesla electric powertrain and try to make it transform for real. Instead of him just buying the thing and going, it rattles, it doesn't work, I'm going to just toss it out. I'm just going to write off that $997,000. He figures out how to fix it, right? So what I'm saying is, sometimes, you get into things and you think it's going to be a certain way. You don't know what you don't know, right? Now, I'm going to pick on Carol. Just because you're staring right at the screen, or you look like you were staring right at the screen. Was there anything that you didn't know that you didn't know when you started your business?
Everything. Really, when I started my business, my very first business that I started, it was basically, here's a book of business, go. You seem like you're good at this. So I did. I went. I didn't vet my business partner. She ended up stealing money from my clients. I knew nothing about running my own business.
Wow.
But I overcame, I survived, and was better for it. So every time, I put it in the chat that fail is first attempt in learning. Every time I failed, I got that much better because I knew what not to do. The whole topic of this is, are entrepreneurs crazy? And crazy to me goes hand in hand with insanity. And I think entrepreneurs are actually some of the most sane people around, because we don't do the same thing every day expecting different results. Wonderful. People who are employed, people who are on the line, they're doing the same thing, hoping that their boss is going to see them and make them rich one day. We're not doing that. We're going out and we're making ourselves successful in what we need. So we're the least craziest people that I know.
I'm going to take that clip, put music behind it. I'm going to put it out on YouTube because that was brilliant. Go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say the classic example is Edison. He knew he wanted to make a light bulb. He failed 10,000 times before he found the right stuff to make the light bulb work.
Right. Exactly.
He started out, he had no idea. I mean, they started out with wood, I think, initially. We know how well that worked. But it just like, he knew what he wanted. He saw the end product and he was determined to get there no matter what. And that I think says it all about entrepreneurs. We see our end product, we know what we want, and we just got to figure out how to get there.
Yeah, before Catherine jumps in there, I'm going to read you a quote, Forbes magazine article by William Arruda. He says, "Failure is not a step backward. It's an excellent stepping stone to success. We never learn to move out of our comfort zone if we don't overcome our fear of failure. The most progressive companies deliberately seek employees with track records of reflecting both failure and success. And the things that we learn from failure is we gain experience and knowledge, resilience. The ones that are not resilient, they're part of that 50% that fail in 3 years, right? Growth, we get to really distill our own personal values, and we know who our friends are. When you fail, you certainly figure out who's with you and who's against you, right? So, okay, go ahead, Catherine.
Right. Sorry about that. Yeah. And see, clarification, right? Carol told you what her definition, but for me, crazy is that we are outside the box. We're just a little different than everybody else, right? That's what I consider crazy. And so that's why I would agree with the statement of entrepreneurs being a little crazy. And, we're willing to do stuff and take those weird suggestions and go, oh, I never thought about doing a CPR class and free in the park to get exposure. Like, that's a really out of the box. And friends, we have longtime friends. In fact, when our children were young, we were going to be their, guardians if anything happened, and they were going to be our kids. And my girlfriend has worked for a company that's been taken over, I don't know how many times. Every time training comes up, she goes, Catherine, call, do this, right? And she's done it for years. And it was just this year. I've been in business for 16 years.
Amazing.
I got the contact, but that's a true friend, right? Didn't think twice about me being in business, wasn't insulted about it, and held up for me. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Adam.
Yeah, speaking of not knowing what you don't know, I think it's easy for us to say that there is no failure, only growth, or many of the other sayings that come along with that. Once we are aware of having a growth mindset or nurturing a growth mindset or being more biased towards the growth mindset side, but for the people who are not aware of that and they don't take failure well, then, they're going to continue to struggle until they manage to flip the script on that, right?
Right. Okay, here's a Steve Jobs quote. He famously said, here's to the crazy ones. They push the human race forward. The crazy ones, right? Because the safe ones, they're safe. They don't take any risk. Go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say we're almost teaching it. We have a system in the school system now where you can't fail.
Right.
And so we're producing all these kids that they get out in the real world and all of a sudden, hey, you don't always get the participation prize, or not everybody gets a trophy. And suddenly these kids are going and don't know what to do. Right. And to me, the secret is let them fail a little bit when they're little. Okay, so maybe they stay in grade 1 for an extra time because they need it. But what we've got now is we've got kids that are coming into high school who are functionally illiterate because we keep pushing them along because they've never been allowed to fail. It's stupid.
And the first time they fail when they're in their 20s, they feel,
they're like, they're like, oh, my life has ended. Like,
that's right.
Yeah.
It's
so they could have cheated through high school too. I knew somebody of years who did that.
That's an entrepreneur.
That's an entrepreneur. He figured out the system.
Oh no, he worked in a regular job and stuff, but he had no problem getting a job, and he barely English. Meantime, well, I mean, knew English, that was his language, but he couldn't spell or anything. And I said the word cynic. I said I'm cynical, and he had no clue. He said, "Quit using big words."
Yeah, that's an entrepreneur.
Hard time getting a job, and I'm much more educated.
So listen, I want to jump to just wrapping up this section of what we're chatting about, and that is we're looking at when you first started your business. Think about the fact that the things that were in your head, like you had to think about finding your first customer. You had to think about your company name. Nobody knew it, right? So you had to try and get that name out there, maintain quality. Megan, can you just mute yourself? Sorry, I'm still getting some feedback from your line. Maintain quality as you grow your business. That's tough when you're a solopreneur, right? Is maintaining the quality of customer service, et cetera, as you're growing your business. Lead generation, you're thinking about, okay, how am I going to do this? There's so many avenues out there. How many of us have even thought, which is the best avenue? Is it social media? Is it flyers? What is it? Like, what's the best way to get, eyeballs on my product, right? Delighting your customers, hiring talented people, knowing when someone's scamming you just for a job so that they can have enough money. You won't realize how terrible they are for at least 4 weeks. So they'll make, whatever out of you. Managing a busy workflow, managing money, or scaling your business. These are the things that we had to think about at the beginning. But I got to tell you, honestly, when I first started my very first business back in the 80s, the only thing I thought about was finding my first customer. All the rest of it, kind of like, oh, I guess I have to start thinking about this now. And anybody else?
Well, I was just saying.
Oh, go ahead, Jack.
When I started, and I think if we try to figure it all out all in the beginning, you're not going to ever go anywhere because you'll be so overwhelmed. So it's really the one thing that I've taken on lately is, what is my next best yes? What is the next thing that I need to add, or the next thing I need to grow, or the next thing I need to learn in order to take me to that next step of success?
Yeah,
Catherine?
Yeah, thanks. I was just going to say, it was finding the next customer was great. And then I'd go, wow, I had a really good month. And then I'd realize I'm not going to talk to these people for 3 years because our certification's good for 3 years. I got to fill up another 34 months. And then I can say, oh, that was a good month. That was like mind blowing. I just went to the next customer, and then I realized I have to have customers next July, not just this July. So yeah, it was surprising.
Yeah, okay, go ahead, Chris.
I think that's one of the rise for the popularity of franchises, because they allow that entrepreneurial spirit in a much safer framework, because a lot of it's laid out for you.
Right.
Now, ultimately, I think franchise people discover that it's not nearly as free as they think it was, because you end up just buying a job is what you're buying. But that, I think, is certainly behind the popularity of them, because they come with a system.
Right. Yeah, good point. Buying a job. That's right. Go ahead, Lisa.
So I can touch on this one. When I got my franchise agreement, and I said that I researched everything and I was anal about it, it was just for that fact. You get this franchise agreement that's like this big long, and you have no idea what half of it means. So you have to get in touch with lawyers. You have to get in touch with all these people to be like, this is what you need to do. This is what's expected of you. Yes, you're buying a job, but with a job, you get the clients, you get a door, you get all this stuff. I had to do it all on my own. So not like I had to think of a name for my company or for stuff like that. It was, okay, I have myself a job now, but I have to make it like a thing, because now I'm part of this franchise that, yes, I have the support and I have this, if I have questions, but again, you still have to stick to this franchise agreement. So just making a post online or reporting something, I can't do that, because now it goes against my franchise agreement. Or either you have to go through hoops and hurdles to do some type of things, right? So it gets very complicated in a sense where it's like, I can't just do what I want, and it's my own business.
That's right.
But I'll tell you, I wouldn't have it any other way, because it's nice to know that I also have that in my back pocket to help. So it's great.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very good. Go ahead, Carol.
Well, I used to actually work for a franchisor in a multinational tax preparation firm. And I think that really depends on the franchise itself, because our whole thing is, we didn't want you to have a job. I mean, I can't stand the company now, but I will say that is the one good thing they did do, is they didn't want their franchisors being in the business. They wanted them working on the business. So I think it depends. And Lisa, you're absolutely right. It provides that system, and where you are in business for yourself, but not by yourself. And the best franchises are grown and adapt from the ground up. So from the franchisees up, it's not just some Yahoo in a great big chair saying, this is the way we do things now, who hasn't been on the ground floor in 30, 40 years.
Okay, awesome. We're going to go to Catherine, and then we're going to move on to the next, the last part of it.
I was just going to say the book that we are reading as a women's club it's about being in a system, a multi-level marketing or marketing service company that Frida and Sheila are in their own similar idea to Lisa, is that you've got all those systems, right? So they've taken out a lot of that uncertainty for you. You've got proved systems, you've got mentoring, where when you're a solopreneur, you hope somebody's wise enough to reach out and get some mentoring, right? Get some help, but you've always got that hand up in multi marketing services, right? So that book that we're reading is pretty, it reminds you about all that stuff, right? And which poor dad talks about that too, that those training systems are phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the last part is we're a little crazy, all of us, right? Just a smidgen, because we boldly go forward no matter what. And even when the worst things hit you, you're thinking about ways to solve the problem so that you can continue to move forward. So here's a question. If you could verbalize your crazy June goal for your business. So two things. First, your crazy June goal for your business and your crazy June goal for yourself personally. What would those two things be? I'm going to start with John, just because he's our sponsor. and people, I just want you to think about whatever John's crazy June goal is. How can we help him to achieve them? Right? All right, let's go.
Well, don't really listen to something. I don't really have a huge goal for June. May was extremely successful. 5 new clients in May, so very happy with that. If I were to say anything in June, I am looking for some more corporate clients. Crazily enough, because I went and bought a couple suits last week, and I'm like, I need to wear these now because I bought them, right? So I want to make sure those don't go to waste. So that'd be nice. In terms of my personal goals, I'm sure Jackie will appreciate this. Work-life balance is huge, and I'm horrible at it. I'm like 99.9% work and 0.1% personal. So that's a constant battle I'm having with myself, is that. And because I do have Tourette's, when I do have an overwhelming month, it's bad for my health. So I'm always in that struggle of trying to make my health a priority, have some fun. So that's personal, but yeah, business, always looking for new clients, big corporate clients. If you have an in with an Elon Musk or a Ralph Lauren or Calvin Klein, throw on my number. I'd be happy to talk to them. But yeah, it is a bit interesting. My business goals month to month are pretty much the same. Like nothing really drastic changes. It's all about growth for me. So,
well, just letting you know, I have sent an invite out to Elon Musk to attend our morning coffee call, which is the truth, everybody. So he has not responded. So
while I have the mic, one last thing, I do want to thank Lisa. She sent me another referral last week, and they just emailed me this morning to come into the office to close the deal. So thank you, Lisa. That's like 3 businesses you've given me in the last couple of weeks, so I appreciate it.
Awesome. So, well, you know what? With that, I'm going to go to Lisa. You're next.
Cool. Great intro there, John. You're very welcome. And I'll keep doing it for everyone here. I'm kind of like the same on John. They're like, I need to grow. I want to grow. I need to grow. So everyone hears me talking about signing up double digits. That's huge to me. Because my whole thing is shit happens, and we're helping one small business at a time. So any referral that that a business that ships, whether it's getting their product, receiving their product, shipping out to a customer, let me help them because I can. As for personal, even though I like John's answer better than mine, but it kind of goes along the same lines. I need to take better care of myself. So whether that be, sticking to more of a not healthy lifestyle because I am very healthy, but I just need to concentrate on me. So
Okay.
thanks, Ivan.
All right. No problem. Peter.
In terms of crazy June goals, one thing I feel like I'm missing out in the summer, and I really need to program in taking advantage of the summer while it's still there. So I should block off some calendar dates just to make sure I actually enjoy the summer at some point. And the other thing is, I've had an idea for a membership website that I'd like to try out, but so far I haven't had the time for. So I want to do that. And its basic was inspired by my experience with HelloFresh, where I realized that what I valued was meal planning rather than getting groceries delivered. So I was thinking there's an opportunity there if you're like me who doesn't want to pay an extra $70 a month for groceries and just wants to have the meals planned for you and a grocery list generated so you can just step in the store and get what you want, because I tried a manual version of that and it just takes way too long.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting, Peter. Okay, cool. Thanks. Catherine.
For June, well, Peter, you know what I've decided a couple of years ago is that instead of working until that 4:30, 5 o'clock every night in the summertime, 1 o'clock's the max, unless I've got something scheduled. You're right, it's too short. We live 9 or 10 months a year waiting for the warmer weather, and I'm going to sit in shorts and air conditioning, my goal this month is to have more instructors that will do all my teaching as I'm teaching, which is a good problem to have because I'm very busy, but I have, I'm teaching too much right now, so I can't be creative.
And your personal goal would be to be more creative?
Yes.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. Carol.
Well, my business goal is, as some of you know, I took on a new position in my company in business development. And last month I had a 75% close rate, which I understand is pretty freaking phenomenal. I have no idea. I'm brand new at this. So I want to keep up with that, and I want to keep that rate going this month as well. Here's to it. Get some qualified leads and sell our services, which are phenomenal. Personally, I got to take a page from Lisa's book, and it's just put me first. I put my mom, I put family, friends ahead of me, which is a good thing. But sometimes it's at the detriment of myself. So I need to put me first and move forward.
Good. Excellent. Okay. Sheila.
I need to grow and want to grow too. So I guess it's just being consistent. I do know exactly what I'm supposed to do. I guess that's a little bit different. So I just have to implement and be a little bit more brave to step forward. Personally, I know that I would like to see the creativity flow, and it's about having that nicer environment. So the weather is getting better. I'm pushing myself to actually make, go to events that I'm planning with my family or Chris, whatever. I just need to be, I think, outside in nature a little bit more to have that. So.
Yeah, I'm going to make a comment here about alone time. I find that there's a clutter, this hum of activity always happening. And then once you get out into nature by yourself, it takes about 5, 10, 15 minutes of just you walking in nature by yourself, where you actually, there's no more noise and you actually have clarity. And I think that taking that well, Adam, I'm going to pick on you next, and you could probably speak more to this, but definitely take the time to be active outside and breathe in some fresh air. Get around those trees and just whatever they're giving off, you take it in. Go ahead, Adam.
To comment on that, if I were going to say anything, I'd say that the one thing to know is that as soon as we're outside, what we're looking at is much further away, and it shifts our brain from a high beta state back to where it's meant to be. That's one thing that happens. Another thing is that basically a second beta state makes us a little more anxious. And we're out there, our bodies are designed to move. And one thing that it'll do is it will kickstart a cycle in our brain. And this cycle, I won't get into it obviously right now, but that cycle is really, really important. We can get stuck in a few different compartments, whether it's overthinking or emotional. It can be other things too. And walking really helps with that. As for my personal goals this month, it would be to get a little bit more sunlight in, maybe a little bit more walking. And I think that I want to focus on my spiritual practice a little bit more, because last month I didn't do it as much. I felt great all month, but I know that I am definitely on another level when I get that in properly. On a business front, I have room to take on 2 or 3, let's say 3, maybe 4 people this month, and I'm putting together a test run on a system a campaign basically through an automated system that is designed to funnel clients in. So I make a few warm-up videos, one longer video, and we'll see how that goes, because apparently it's been very successful in a couple places that it's been used so far, which is in Australia and New Zealand, apparently. So apparently this is better than a human user VA. We will see at the end of this month.
Well, cool. Awesome. Nice. And I totally agree with you. The same thing with me. Need to get out there into the sunshine for sure. Okay, Chris, did I pick on you yet? No, I haven't. Okay, go ahead, Chris.
Business perspective, I'd like to get in touch with some more companies, particularly with 8 to 10 employees. That's a kind of goal I have, to start into that group area, and pick up a couple more people to help me, because it's hard. We've got like 2% market share. We need boots on the ground to spread the word. It's like everybody needs a thing and nobody knows about it. So a personal front, my partner and I have decided we've been locked up for 2 years, and we are now we used to go to all the festivals and everything that was going on around. And that's our goal this summer, is to get back going to all of that stuff. So we were at some jazz in the street in Galt yesterday. We've got a bunch more things coming up. So, yep.
Well,
I really
nice.
miss all that stuff.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm going to pick on Lisa. Oh, wait. I'm going to pick on Teresa first.
So you already picked on me.
No. But you gotta be like last, because you're
Okay.
you're taking over after him. Lisa, you there? Teresa. I called Lisa Teresa, and now Teresa. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, we're all pretty close.
Oh, and Dave, of course, is going to come before Lisa, of course. Go ahead, Teresa.
Nice. Okay, so June goals. So 3 new web clients. So that would be my agency clients for web. 10 to 20 new TGC members. So anyone can help with that. I'd like to see the 20
That'd be nice.
range, but I will take between 10 and 20 as a success. Personal goals. So I do have a few: losing weight, increasing flexibility, clearing my mind, focus my mindset, and forgiving myself of past mistakes, using those as my learning lessons to better my future. So just trying to incorporate all that for the summer. So yeah.
I love Jackie's reaction to that last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jackie's ears are right. She's right on. Okay, Dave, are you there? Dave, Jamina. All right. days now. There. Okay, Jackie, go. Sorry, Jackie, did I get you yet?
No.
All right, Jackie, go ahead.
So my business goals for this month are twofold. I would like 3 new students and or clients. And Jen and I are hopefully this week launching the retreat. So our goal is to fill that with 12 people. So if you don't know the dates yet, we are running it July 8th to 10th at Karen's Talk Memories in Windsor. So block those dates off, and more information will be coming out this week. And similar to everyone else, one of my personal goals is to get out in nature every single day and to add yoga to my daily practices.
I'm gonna be stopping by and visiting you all when you get to Karen's house, by the way. So get ready for your picture to be taken, and let me know what you want, and I'll bring you drinks out too.
Wonderful.
And
that's awesome.
For those of you who are talking about, better work-life balance, Jonathan, if you want to come and join some of the segments, we are going to be doing both business building creativity along with personal growth, mindset, spiritual, get yourself zen.
Woo-woo stuff.
Here. Pardon? Woo-woo.
Woo-woo stuff.
Yes, Catherine is embracing the woo-woo slowly.
Yeah.
It's really shocking to me.
Yeah.
No one has said, "Oh man, I spent too much time outside. I need to spend a little bit of time inside." No one said that. Anyway.
Hey, John, I'll bring the limes, okay?
You'll bring the limes.
Sound good.
Okay, Michael's here. Nice. Okay, Michael, you're up. And you're on mute. You're on mute. Oh.
All right, here we go. Business wise, I think I want to try get some more networking going. That's something that haven't really been able to do too much. I'm gonna do some investigating and see what I can conjure up in that area. And on the personal side, hopefully soon I'll be able to get out on Georgian Bay. I finally got my boat in the water. Still got a little bit of work to do. And once I got that going, I will end this month with like a 4-day long weekend where I know I will go out and I know I will be spending some recharge time out there.
Awesome. And of course, everybody knows that.
Yeah, I do my daily walks. I mean, I've been doing that for 6-7 years now. Like that's just part of how I start my day during the week.
Yeah, cool. And everybody knows that we're heading out to Alberta the beginning of July. We're going to be there for the first couple days, first week of Stampede, but nothing like getting out in the mountains. I'll tell you that, right? Where's Jackie? And nothing. Oh no, sorry, you're in Lethbridge. You don't even see the mountains, do you? Oh, that's tough.
No,
anyway.
But let me tell you, everyone should go to Sedona. The mountains there are unbelievable.
Oh, I bet. Yes, absolutely. Okay, Lisa.
And we stop recording.
No, you got to tell us what's going on with you, girl.
Ivan, you asked me 3 times.
I did ask you. Okay.
You did.
All right. Well, then I'm gonna wrap it up properly. Then thank you, everybody.
See you again.
Thank you.
It's part of your Lisa Teresa problem.
I know. It could also be an age thing. Anyway, so thank you, everybody, for joining Morning Coffee. Thank you. Yeah, I'm so glad to hand it off to Lisa. But before we do, I just want to remind everybody that this week there is a Women's Business Club, Women's Business Club meeting Thursday, 12:30 to 2 o'clock. And tomorrow, city leaders and your city councilors, please be available for that call. All right. Thank you.
And I do a reminder first, axe throwing, June 20th. Right. We, if you're going to be joining us, which we hope you will, because I can't imagine it not being just invigorating. Yeah. Getting rid of that pent up, whatever. You need to RSVP so that we can have enough lanes and they'll have enough coaches available for us, or instructors, I'm sorry, so that we can get that done. And Chris, put it on your schedule for you and your wife. We're doing Cider Avenue, no, West Avenue Cider House. Oh, wow. In July. So look at the calendar so that you can get that. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, I'll hand it off to Lisa.